Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am your host, Kris Murray. Childcare leaders around the globe are breaking through challenges, leading the way in innovation, testing new best practices, and impacting children and families in a much more powerful and positive way than ever before. Each week, join me for interviews with early childhood leaders and experts that will leave you inspired to become the next childcare rockstar. Now, let's go. This is Childcare Rockstar Radio, episode 183, featuring Tasha Santistevan. Welcome back to the podcast. I am very excited to have you here today. We've got a juicy episode with Miss Tasha, Coach Tasha, here on my team. We're getting to know her for the very first time on the podcast. Not quite sure why it's taken me so long to get this incredible human full of knowledge and wisdom to be on the show, but better late than never. And here we are. Tasha is going to share with us how to lead teams out of conflict and into collaboration, which is her favorite thing to do. And what's very, very cool about this conversation is just the openness of realizing that conflict exists. And really, if people have emotions around being with each other inside of a early learning center or a school or a classroom, the emotions don't necessarily have to be considered negative or positive. It can just be considered what is and seen as an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for collaboration, opportunity for coming together and using conflict essentially for good. And that's what we're going to talk about on this episode. But before we get there, I want to thank our friends over at CCEI for underwriting this episode. Whether you are looking to brush up on classroom management skills or meet health and safety requirements, CCEI makes earning professional development hours fun and convenient. If you've listened to the podcast before, you've heard me rave about CCEI, and that's partially because you can complete their courses 24/7 from any device. Plus, you can earn IACET CEUs at no additional cost and print your certificates from home. The best part is because you're a Childcare Rockstar Radio listener or viewer, you can access 200 plus courses in English and Spanish through CCEI's individual annual training subscription and save $20 from the regular price right now. To get started, simply visit cceionline.com, select Enroll Now, and Professional Development for Individuals, and then enter code PD24. That's P as in Paul, D as in dog, 24 at checkout. The offer is only good for the month of August, guys, so hurry on over to cceionline.com and get started today. So Tasha, it hails from the amazing state of Utah, and she is the executive director at Child Time Inc., with our beloved Empire member, Veronica Nelson, who has also been on this podcast several years back. And I just love Tasha's, as I mentioned, openness, her heart, her leadership style, her collaborative approach. And she talks also about why she loves coaching for us over at the Childcare Success Academy and Company. I love having her on the team. And we're also going to share with you some pretty awesome resources that are inspiring and best in class on Tasha's library. So stay tuned for all of that. And I am really just enjoying my summer, guys. I can't make up any tales about it. My daughter's gone back to college and my mom's visited and gone. And now it's time. It's just me time. I'm enjoying a very quiet and relaxing few weeks in August before I head off in my RV to Burning Man. And when I get back, I'm sure I'll be sharing with you guys lots of photos and videos on my social channels. By the way, if you're not following me over on Instagram yet, I will invite you to do so. And it's I am Kris Murray at I am Kris Murray is my handle over there at Instagram. Do they say handle? I don't know. Is that like a thing? I feel like that's what we used to say with CB radios back when I was a little kid in the 70s. But anyways, My profile name is I am Kris Murray, and I can't wait to see you over there at the young people call it the Gram over there at the Gram. So I'll see you over there. I'm clearly dating myself with this intro, so I'm just going to get right to it before I further put my foot in my mouth and say something I don't know, silly. And hopefully you've gotten a couple of giggles. I am just really glad that you're here. I'm super grateful that you're here. I'm super grateful that you listen to this show. I've talked to many of you recently. We just came back from the Denver Mastermind meeting, and so many of y'all told me that you love this show and you listen and you write down notes and writer downers, and you've learned a lot of amazing free content and strategies that have helped you change your life and your business from this podcast. So there's nothing that makes me prouder. So let's dive right in. And I'm going to introduce you to my friend and fellow coach, Tasha Santistevan, here on Childcare Rockstar Radio. Let's go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am very excited to introduce you to an incredible ECE leader, as well as one of our incredible Academy coaches, Tasha Santistevan. Tasha, how are you today?
I'm so good. So excited to be here.
Yay. I'm excited too. I can't believe it's taken me this long to feature you on the podcast, but here you are, and I'm thrilled to have you with me today. Where are you sitting right now, geographically?
I am in Cottonwood Heights, which is just a little suburb outside of Salt Lake. So I'm close to the ski resorts and living in one of the most beautiful cities in the country.
Love it. Love Salt Lake City. And tell us more about you. Tell us more about your early care and education background and a few of the highlights of your journey.
Sure. Okay, well, I would have never thought this would be a journey for me, but this started way back in high school, believe it or not. I had gotten a summer job working at a local childcare center, probably only got the job because my mom or my friend's mother owned the center. So I started working with the school age group and pretty much swore I would never have children after that. But it just was so hard. And not my favorite thing. In fact, I think that fall, I said for my senior year in high school, I was still working there. I said, I'd like to be the receptionist. But that last year of high school, I just didn't need a lot of credit. So I took like a lot of AP classes and just whatever I wanted. And I decided I'd take a marriage, family, and human development class. And I loved it. And I took any class that I could within that program, child development, occupational childcare, just as many classes as I could because I didn't need many credits. So I decided to stay working in childcare because of that class. And in 1994, I became a preschool teacher at Child Time Inc., where I went on for 10 years to be a director and loved that job. And then in 2007, I became the executive director and was a trainer for 3 years. And I'm still the executive director at Child Time Inc. But in 2023, I became a coach for Childcare Success Company. And I am still a coach and loving every second of it. And I'm still an executive director. So I'm wearing multiple hats at the moment.
All right.
I love it.
Very cool. And you are being led by the amazing Ronnie, who we love as a long-term member of the Childcare Success Academy as well, Empire Track. So shout out to Ronnie Nelson, who has lent you to us, so to speak, to become a coach over here in our organization while you're actually being the executive director over there, which is great. Tell us a little bit more about in your executive director role, or maybe even back when you were a director, because you're coaching the team track, which is the track that we in the academy have the administrators, directors, assistant directors, and other leaders come in, also regionals and executive directors, all different levels of leadership come into the team track and work with us to help them become stronger leaders and help them solve their challenges. So talk a little bit about, as an executive director and or when you were a director, what were some of the things that you loved most about that, or currently love most about that role? How does that like tap into your unique brilliance and your passion?
Okay. I loved directing. That 10 years of directing was the hardest of my career, but so enjoyable because I really thrive off helping people just really find their own unique brilliance and strengthen those areas. Um, but to be able to empower them and support them, and this is why I love with the director track, because it is a hard job and it is so important. But if we can really help coach our directors, on being the difference between being a manager versus a leader. Once you find that sweet spot of being a leader, that job becomes exponentially more rewarding and less challenging. You're looking at it through a whole different scope. And so that is why when I was asked to join the coaching team for a director track, I was all over it because I love nothing more than seeing people who are doing really important work find that passion again. Because I was there. After directing and executive directing for so long, once I felt like I knew everything, but once I came to the academy, mind blown. I was so passionate about a career that I once loved, but was getting burned out in. And so if I can help give that to somebody else and somebody filled my cup, I would love to fill other people's cups.
I love that. I love the distinction of manager versus leader. So let's dive into that a little bit more. In that different lens of being a leader versus being a manager, what are a couple things that are, that rise to the top when you think about the differences? Like as you became a more successful leader versus just managing, what are some of the either the behaviors or the habits, that the leadership habits or the leadership style? Like how did you morph into being more of a leader instead of a manager, or how do you help others do so?
So I think as a new director, I definitely was more trying to be the manager. I am good about looking at the problems and saying, okay, this is how it needs to be fixed. As I grew as a leader, I learned how to collaborate with my team and to pay more attention, like build those relationships with them so that I could see what their strengths were and then start delegating that, asking for their ideas more, having them help come up with the solutions instead of thinking that I always had the solutions. Because I do like to organize things and I do like to make order out of chaos. However, my way doesn't work for everyone. And I think that the more I learned about true leadership and those principles, it allowed me to find that in others.
I love that. I love the collaborative leadership approach. And it also helps get your team more bought in to what you're trying to accomplish when you ask for their ideas and their input and get them to actually be team members with you instead of being my way is the highway. So I love that, Tasha. That's super cool. Let's talk a little bit about your life at home. What is going on for you there in Cottonwood/Salt Lake City? And do you have kids? Are you married? And what are your interests?
Yeah, I have kids. I have a lot of kids.
So from somebody who started out going, I don't want to have any kids because this childcare center is crazy. So your life has completely morphed into something different, which is very cool.
Yes, 100%. So I have 5 boys, 5 amazing sons.
Wow.
There's a big range there. So my oldest will be 29 in the fall. Just can't even believe that. So my oldest is 29, and then my youngest are twins. So I have 12-year-old twin boys, and so I have 3 out of my 5 kids are adults and thriving. I've got 3 grandkids, or 3 granddaughters and a grandson. So that's been super fun after raising 5 boys.
Yeah.
It's just fun grandkids are just the best.
Yeah.
That's all I need to say. But yeah, so at home, I homeschool my twins, which we've done. This will be our 3rd year and going on our 3rd year. So in the fall, but it's been a journey and an adventure. I love being outside. So anything from gardening and hiking, mountain biking, walking my dog, anything just to be outside. I love it. 4 of my 5 boys played hockey. So anybody that has sports in their family, which I'm not a big sports person, but hockey kind of takes over your life at certain times. So we do a lot of that as far as practice and all that kind of fun family stuff that revolves around sports. And we just spend a lot of time together. We love to laugh together, eat lots of good food, and we're kind of just like a tight knit group of people that are so different from each other, but we get a kick out of each other. So I think that we are definitely a family-centered family.
Nice. I love that. That's great. So people that are listening might be wondering how you stay organized with all of your different roles, having 2 12-year-olds and homeschooling them, being an executive director at a thriving ECE business, Child Time Inc., with 4 or 5 locations. Remind me.
4. Yep.
Four vibrant locations, and being a coach for the Childcare Success Academy. So how do you balance all of those roles and not go crazy?
Well, first, I have to say that I can't take credit for staying organized without mentioning that I have an amazing owner that Veronica, we said Ronnie, that's her name.
Yeah.
But Ronnie is amazing as far as she really allows me a lot of flexibility, and she's 100% supportive because she trusts me. That's, not everybody gets that kind of flexibility or deserves it. But I think because I've always worked hard and upheld her standards, I've been allowed that flexibility. So she allows for that and is in an executive director position. So I do work from home a lot. Well, mostly. I have an amazing regional that carries a lot of the load that I used to carry as an executive director. So I have to give credit to them first. I wouldn't be as organized if I wasn't allowed that luxury.
Yeah.
I am by nature an organized person, but every week I take Sundays to have time where I sit down and I write out my goals. I write out my schedule. I write out exactly what appointments I have. And there's a lot of reminders on my phone. So I set just a lot of alarms to remind me of. But I try to just really do what's most important to me, which cuts out a lot of things. I'm not one of those people that spend a ton of time hanging out with my friends because I'm just not in a season of life where I can do it. But which is amazing because we get to go to our mastermind meetings, and that's where my bucket gets filled to be a professional and to have community and friends. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
But I think just really, I keep my eye on my goals. I cut out the excess stuff of what I don't need. And then I try to be cognizant of when maybe things are out of balance.
So what is a warning sign when you feel that? How can you tell? Is it just intuitionally? Do you start to feel a little bit drained? Like, how can you tell that things are out of balance? And then what do you do about it?
Probably a little more snappy with my kids than I should be. Yeah, that's for me. For me, it's really important to every morning when I get up, I have an hour where nobody else is up. I don't want to be bothered. And I really evaluate how I'm feeling. So that's my personal time. So that's huge for me, just to have that self-care time in the morning. And usually if you take that quiet time to read a personal development book, maybe do some journaling, exercise, have that quiet time, I think a lot of times that just kind of starts going through your head, and you know when something's off because you're taking having that silent time to really process your thoughts.
Right.
Honestly, that's probably the biggest reason I can juggle so many things because, I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't. So once I feel that coming on, then I just look and have to reevaluate. Maybe I've got too many meetings scheduled and I have to decide, is this really important that we do this? Or do we need to take some things off? Or maybe there's a really serious conversation that needs to be had that's causing a trickle-down effect of other problems that are taking up too much time. So that's a really long answer to that question.
No, I love that answer, because what we don't talk about a lot on the podcast, Tasha, is, and I know that you're more of a spiritual centered person and you have these amazing practices on mindset and presence, and as do I, and we've talked a little bit about it, is helping people that are watching this podcast coach them into taking the time for themselves. That hour of quiet time in the morning, it centers myself, and I feel it's centering you, and also the emotions of whatever you're feeling that need to be recognized, or just the awareness of whatever is there to be realized. shows up in that hour in the morning. And so without that, you're not doing this kind of quiet, reflective practice of centering yourself or just being present. That hour of presence in the morning is so valuable. It's like you said, you would not be able to do everything you do and have all the energy for all the components of your life and the people that depend on you if it wasn't for you giving yourself that hour of reflective time in the morning. So I absolutely adore that you shared that, because I think a lot of folks see it as either selfishness or they can't get their partner to help support them if they have little ones at home, and they feel pulled. Is like, you've got to work with your partner at home to figure out a way that you can have that hour. And maybe it's in the evening. I mean, maybe it's when you get home and you go for your evening walk, because you just can't do it in the morning, but whenever it works for you. As listeners and viewers to this podcast, I just wanted to share that. And thank you for bringing that forward, because yeah, that's a really, really, really important practice. I call it pondering. It's my pondering hour, or my pondering time. And I love that you shared that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about challenges that you had to overcome. So when you have been either a director or an executive director, what are some things that have come up for you that you were challenged with? What's like one big challenge that comes to mind, and how did you overcome it?
I think one of my biggest problems I don't even want to say when I was first directing, because it took a long time. I think that this just kind of comes with getting older, but I am a fixer. So if somebody has a problem, I want to fix you, whether you want my help or not. Or I think that I can just show you the right book or help you organize your life. Or, I just always want to think of solutions.
Right.
And what I had to learn is like, I can be a great support to somebody, but I cannot let their problems be my problems. And I think a lot of directors especially get bogged down in this. They make their staff members' family problems their problems, or they make exceptions to rules or policies and procedures because they want to fix a situation and they want to help this person that's depending on them. And that just opens up a whole new can of worms and problems. And so I think that I've really learned how to be able to be supportive, but not at a cost to my own mental and emotional well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard lesson when you feel like you have a lot to give people, not to let it drain you.
Yeah. Love that. Have you had a situation, I'm sure you have in your career as a leader, where you've had two teachers that are working together in a classroom as co-teachers and they're having a conflict? And how do you help them resolve their conflict? What are some things that you use in your toolkit for that?
Okay. This is such a timely question, such a good question, because actually at our Denver Mastermind, I'm going to be doing a whole presentation on difficult conversations, but more focusing on like conflict capacity and why we are having conflict within our programs. And one of the biggest concepts that I think is really important to understand is that when people are having conflict, we're all afraid of it. And then teachers really have a hard time discussing it. It's not even that they're being disrespectful to each other. Oftentimes they're just not addressing the problem. And so I really try to coach people that it is okay. Conflict is really, if we stop looking at it as like this bad thing, that it's an argument, but looking at, we just have different desires and drives. And so if we can help each other see where maybe we have just different priorities or different backgrounds that are causing us to focus on different things, but making us feel like maybe we're having a conflict, where it's more just peeling the onion and looking at the layers of where really that we just have different views on things, and it's okay. And then how can we solve this together? So when I was a director, in the first few years, I remember just being like, okay, I'll talk to them, and eventually got to, okay, we're gonna talk about this together, and really creating a culture of communication and being able to work through conflict. Because if you don't do that, you're exhausted as a director, and your team are always going to need to come to you to fix the problems, like we referenced before. But helping them understand that if we have the same goal here, we're good, right? We all love these children. We just might show it in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's figure out how we can work through this conflict, which we don't want to view it as conflict. It's just an opportunity to get better.
Yeah.
And I've had teachers that just could not stand each other when they first started working together. And after I really figured out how to get people to communicate better and work for those same common goals, they ended up loving each other and were devastated when they couldn't work together. So it was a fun process to watch over the years. It wasn't easy, but it's simple. It is simple. It's just a matter of communication for the good of that common goal there of the children, and also as our team, our culture. We have to work through these things, and it's okay to disagree. And sometimes we don't always act appropriately, and we can own it, but our do is different, or our what we do and the mistakes we make don't define us. It's how we rise above them.
Wow. That's super powerful. I love that leadership language. It's so good. I loved seeing conflict as a positive, or shifting our mindset around conflict to seeing it as an opportunity for growth and for improvement. I love that so much, Tasha. It's really, really juicy. And I know a lot of people who are listening are going to really get a lot out of that. And really, guys, languaging that, like, we do provide leadership language inside the academy. We do provide you guys with ways to talk to your teams during difficult situations. I love that you're doing this session in Denver at our Academy Mastermind next week. And I'm going to have to pop in the team room and check it out. I love it. I love it.
Ooh.
So good. So good. Talk a little bit about what you love most about coaching. What do you love about being a coach, and why does it juice you up?
Well, like I mentioned, I am passionate about helping directors because it is the most important job within that leadership role. I believe we just don't fully understand in the industry the stress that directors feel and what they go through. So I love being a coach because I love to provide that safe space where they can come to us, especially in our pods, talk to us about their frustrations without, they can't talk to their teachers as much because they're the leader. They have to, have their shoulders up and they're leading the group. So they always have to seem like things are good and we're focused on positivity, but that's not sustainable all of the time. So if they can come to their pod group and talk about what they're going through and have supportive people that can help lift each other up, it's amazing. That tribe aspect is everything in this business. And it's not something that is easy to find. And I don't feel like I even had that other than, having moments when I would do my training classes and help people work through things. It's not the same as having consistent groups that you work with and that you know each other's background and that you can go to for help. So I love that community aspect of it for sure. The other thing is learning from each other. These people blow my mind. Like within our academy, that the ideas that they share are just, you think I've been in this business for 30 years, and every time I'm on a coaching call and I'm talking about a topic or asking for ideas, or the Q&As have been fantastic because they are giving each other ideas. And I'm like, I have never thought of that in my 30 years. It's so exciting. And we all need to be passionate and learn new things. I think that's what makes us love our jobs, is learning new things. And I don't know if there's a better platform for doing it than in the academy. So coaching has been amazing for that reason. It still gets me fired up about my job that I've held consistently, in the same position since 2013. Or 2007. I keep getting my years mixed up. I apologize. But yeah, it's just amazing that we're still learning. We never stop learning, right?
That's right. I love that. If you could go back in a magic time machine and do something differently or change something about the decisions and choices that you made, is there anything that you would change?
Gosh. In my career, I wish I could go back and just be a little more empathetic in the beginning.
Yeah.
I would change that. As a parent, I would just go back to my young mom self and say, they're going to be okay. It's okay if they're, they don't fit into this mold. And in fact, they will blow your mind at their own mold. So those are the main things that I can think of. There's a lot of things as a director that you just in hindsight, you're like, oh, I wish I would have done differently. But that's
Sure.
part of the joy of learning. That it's hard, but you always just, as long as you fail forward, you're good.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I feel the same way about being my early leadership journey would like to have been able to tap into what I call confident empathy or levels of, because I think when we're new as a leader, we don't have as much confidence. And sometimes we don't have any confidence. And we're thrown into a leadership role sometimes. And then we lean on, the more structured response, the more feel like I have to show up as a certain way. And I don't tap into my empathy as much because maybe I have a little bit of fear around that. So I think letting go of the fearfulness and coming up to a place of just leaning into a place of heart-centeredness for me and loving leadership, I think people respond to that much better, and empathy comes from that. But yeah, that emotional intelligence, it takes a while to let it evolve, at least for myself. And it sounds like for you as well.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing that's so exciting in leadership now in this, current workforce that we're dealing with is that's the trend in leadership right now, right? Servant leadership.
Yep.
And this is what our Gen Zers and some millennials need. They're not going to they are no longer the clock punchers that just do what they're told because they're told.
Yeah.
And so it's perfect that we're evolving within the leadership industry into this mode, because this is what's going to save this industry.
Yes, 100%. Love that. How do you define a childcare rock star?
First and foremost, servant leadership. I mean, that is somebody that can be a servant leader that also can have boundaries and prioritize quality. Obviously, as a servant leader, you have to value those strong relationships, because those relationships are what's going to let your team trust you enough to listen to the advice that you have to offer. And also making sure that as a rock star, you are somebody that empowers your team to reach their full potential. To me, that's the most rewarding thing. And I think COVID taught us this. We have to have fun, because fun is what it's going to get us through the hard times.
Yes.
And COVID stole a lot of our fun because we did, a lot less together. And so that's been one of the goals that we've had this last year in the academy, is like, we've got to talk about fun. How do we have more fun with our team? And how do we find that again? And just really embrace how much joy being together as a team can bring us.
Yeah. I love that. That's a huge aha for me, is that, I think that getting through COVID was so stressful. And so, dealing with the health department and dealing with every time everybody had a symptom, or every time anybody showed, XYZ situation. And so we lost our fun, and we lost the ability to just be together. Because we always had to stay 6 feet apart from each other, which absolutely sucked. So yeah, I love that you said tapping in back into fun, because this is childcare, guys. Like, if it's not fun, what are we doing?
Right? It's too hard of a job. If you're not having fun, the parts are hard enough. You will not sustain your passion for it, and you will burn out if you're not having fun.
Yeah. And the kids will respond as well, and they won't really want to come to preschool if it's not fun. So the way to also keep retention high of families and kids and staff is to focus on fun as well, in a professional way. Where are you headed for the remainder of 2024, Miss Tasha, and beyond? Where are you going?
Oh gosh, I feel like the last year and a half to 2 years have had just an upheaval of everything, as far as just a lot of life changes. And going from being in the schools all the time and constantly dealing with a lot of that kind of stress, to morphing into working from home, homeschooling my kids, and being a coach. I feel like I've had so many changes that what I want to embrace most is just finding what life looks like, the joy in what life looks like now. So embracing, like, just to take a breath. And I'm such a structured person that not having like being there by 9 o'clock and being off by this time. And like it almost, when you're not in that position anymore and you've done it for 28 years, it throws you. You almost don't know how to find your balance. So
Yeah.
now my goal is just embracing that my day does not look the same from day to day and enjoy every moment of it that I can. And I think this, I'm going to be 50 on my next birthday. So I'm like, I'm going to really just,
Ooh.
I feel like the older you get, the better it gets. It's more
Yeah.
fun. And so I just told my husband this recently. I'm like, we're just going to have so much fun over this next decade that's all I've got planned. Work hard, like you say, work hard and play hard.
Yeah.
But just embrace that you create the life that you want to live.
100%. Yeah. I'm working on hitting all the dreams in my dream book as well. So at the ripe old age of 57, I'm going to Burning Man for the first time, which I know. And I know a lot of childcare folks would not be Burning Man people. And I'm not even sure I'm a Burning Man person, but I've heard so many cool things more about the art and the music and the creativity of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited just to see the creative, the creative show of it is going to be, I think, amazing. Everybody's costumes and, the food is incredibly like creative. Like I'm staying at a food-based camp with friends and we're in a desert mobile that has a mobile kitchen and we serve all kinds of sandwiches to people. We just drive around and serve sandwiches. So anyways, I know. So anyway, that's a little tidbit of what I'm up to, but I believe it is the best decade. I'm enjoying my 50s, I think the most of any decade. So I'm excited for you with your big birthday. This is cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for a little bit. I still have a good 6 months, but
that's good.
I'm like, hey, let's just make sure we're starting to plan this now.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't want to go back and have like regrets on things that like, why didn't you just do that?
Right.
Silly story, but I just recently bought a new car and man, we had been talking about it back and forth. And I was like, this is the practical. This is what, and we get there and we're like, why are we being so practical? My gosh, we're at the age, let's just buy what we want.
Right.
And it's what I want may not be what anybody else wants, but I certainly didn't want my minivan anymore. So we went from the practical to we're like, let's get that just souped up Cadillac SUV that you want, that feels good. And I can't work the technology in it, but I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn in my 50s.
That's it. I love that. I love a fancy ass Cadillac SUV. That's awesome. Yeah, that's super cool.
And I don't mind running errands now. So
exactly. That's great. I love that. All right, Tasha. Well, any final thoughts? Let's let people know how people can reach out and find out either more about Child Time and or anything else that you want to share. How can people find out more about you if they want to follow you, et cetera, et cetera?
Okay. So as far as the Child Time goes, if you're wanting to know more about the program, you can go to our website, which is childtimeinc.com. If you're looking for more working in the ECE industry, you can still apply through childtimeinc.com because we have a wonderful landing page there for applicants, thanks to the Academy and the knowledge of Kris Murray. So
thank you.
We've run a beautiful program. And then I'm a team coach with Childcare Success Company. So if you have any questions on that, I'm just Tasha at childcaresuccess.com. But I just want to say to anybody that is in a director or admin position in this industry, just to really commit to learning how to be a good leader, because if you do that, everything else falls into place. And I personally can't think of any other place better to go for that than the Childcare Success Company and the Academy. But that's where I am. I don't really have any fun, exciting social media things. I'm going to work on that. That's actually one of my goals, is to have a separate, more professional, presence online. But social. I'm not there yet. So
I get it. I only got there from hiring somebody to help me, but otherwise it's not my jam. It's not my lane at all. So the way I had to do it was just to hire somebody and be like, here's all of my stuff. Tell me what I need to make and I'll give it to you. And then you post it for me. So I totally get that. Yeah.
I need to do that. I have a 20-year-old that's in school for marketing, and that probably could help me. That's, living with me rent free. So
Exactly.
I think an exchange is in order.
Yes, I completely agree. And you know, I have the same with my daughter, but she's not doing mine because it's a little bit too close, mother-daughter. But I think for you, it could work great. And usually you might be able to find a college student to do it, guys, if you want that for a couple $100. There's a lot of people out there that you could probably even find cheaper people in India or the Philippines to help you do it as well. So lots of resources out there. I want to ask you, because since you mentioned about leadership and just working on sharpening your saw in leadership, what are a couple of your favorite books on leadership that you could share with the audience?
Okay, so anything by John Gordon, just like The Energy Bus. He just wrote that new book on managing difficult conversations.
Cool.
I love John Maxwell. Oh my gosh, I have a new one. I can't remember his name. I want to say it's Seth Godin.
Oh yes, Seth Godin. Mm-hmm.
Godin. That's what it is. That's my problem. I'm a junkie when it comes to personal development. I literally, since the age of 19, have had a book I've read like probably every month or every other month. Like for that long. Anyway, so the book Essentialism and Effortless, I think are so good.
Cool.
Two of my favorites. And then of course, Hal Elrod, which one of my favorite books, Miracle Morning. And we had the privilege of having him speak at our summit, right?
Yeah. Our Nashville summit. It was so great.
Yeah. Yes. And I got to meet him. Oh my gosh. That was a dream. I have always loved him. So to be able to do that. So yeah, those are some of my favorites. And
I had him backstage and I didn't get a selfie with him. I was like, what the heck? I am like such a doofus. So yeah, I don't even have a picture with Hal. So anyway, don't ask.
I'll send you my selfie and you swap out the head.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm like, what am I doing? So thank you so much, Tasha. This has been awesome. I love that you're a coach on our team. I love, watching you lead others and blossom. And also we live kind of close to each other geographically. We're about 5 hours apart. So you get to come over to Glenwood from time to time and see me. And it's just really, really awesome. I love having you in my world. And thanks so much for being on the podcast today.
Oh, thank you. This is such a fun opportunity. And thank you for letting me be part of your team. It was a dream that has come true for me, and I've loved every second of it. So thanks, Kris. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it really shows. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This has been a great episode, and we've got more to come. So stay tuned into us here at Childcare Rockstar Radio. Have an amazing rest of your week. Take care and God bless. And thanks, Tasha. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. I hope you liked this episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio. If you did, please leave a review and share it with someone you know to help spread the word to friends in our industry and on social media. Childcare business success is my passion, and I'm honored to be on this journey with you. As a thank you for listening, I've got a new video training that shows you how to add 6 figures or more of new revenue to your program in the next 60 days by improving your hiring and your enrollment systems. To watch my new video, just go to www.fixmyschool.com. That's fixmyschool.com. Thanks. Take care and God bless.